Hello, Innovation by Design. Welcome to week 8. This is where we're going to be now beginning our physical product module. So basically the same thing that we did with service, that we then did with software, we're now going to do with physical product. So what is a physical product? A physical product is something that can be seen, touched, felt, used in some type of way. Sometimes we use this term consumer packaged good, which can mean a lot of different things, but a physical product can mean even more than what a consumer packaged good would mean. A consumer packaged good would be something that, again, kind of just comes like in a case of some kind, so it's a packaged good, okay? In some type of packaging. But this can mean anything from like it could be a medical device, it could be like it could be something like in for aerospace. It could be something simple. It could be something for your car. It could be something for your home. Obviously, like you can see the examples here. This is what like a Nintendo Switch. And this is like an MVP, clearly, of like a Nintendo Switch. A car is technically a physical product. Some of the resources we have involved actually a walkthrough of the how they developed the Ford Maverick truck, which you can decide whether or not you think that that is a great truck or not. But the video walkthrough that they have of how they developed it is very much using the exact same design thinking framework that we use. They did the empathy, the prototype, test, empathy, define, ideation, prototype, test. They did that in exact cycle, and that's a good video to watch. That could be found. I think it's at the additional resources for the module this week. So visual. So what is the MVP going to be? It's something that you can get the size and or appearance of the physical product. It doesn't necessarily have to be like fully functional, but it is something that you can now see and hold in your hand. So often when anybody is doing like a funding pitch, the judges are always thinking in the back of their head, like, man, I wish I could like hold and see what it is that they're talking about. Because just similar, like an image says a million words, right? A physical like MVP can same thing, says a million words. Now you can actually see what it is that we're talking about. I often will say like this, like for a physical product, it's typically like you have the MVP, then you have like prototype number 1, and then you have prototype number 2, which is like the prototype that's ready to now make 1,000 orders of. So that MVP and like prototype number 1 are two very different things. Like MVP is like a minimum viable product. How is it that we can like explain this to like investors and explain this to potential customers? And then like prototype number 1 is where we're now how this is something that's like repeatable, scalable, that they're able to make like 1,000 units of. For example, sometimes people will actually say that it's like 1,000 times more difficult to make the prototype that is scalable than it is to make the MVP. Like the MVP is like should be very very simple. The prototype that's ready to be mass produced it sometimes takes a little bit because you maybe need a source like the material, so forth. Elon Musk does a really good talk on this regarding the development of the Cybertruck, where the Cybertruck making their MVP was not that it wasn't a challenge in many ways, but it was far more challenging to make street legal in every country, to make the not only street legal in every country, but to be able to source the materials that they use to actually manufacture it at scale is a lot more difficult than it is to just make that first prototype. Okay. Similarly, like with the Ford Maverick truck, they show how they did like they had a cardboard version, a wood version, and then finally that prototype like number 1. Okay. All right. Functional. So it might not look ready for prime time, but you get the idea of the size and you can see like how it might work. So MVP a la carte, this is something that keeps coming back in this semester. The idea of prototype, what is the actual MVP prototype going to be? What is the distribution strategy? How are we going to get in front of people? And then how are we collecting actionable feedback from what it is that we're doing? Okay. What will your physical product prototype be? What methods will people use to get to? What methods will you use to get to your users? What feedback will you use to make decisions? Very quickly, you're going to want to like get this together. We really only have a couple weeks. If the really goal is going to be to do something a little bit better than like a ChatGPT or like Claude generated image, we want to actually have the physical product. So I'm going to go through probably in this video and then also briefly in the overview video precisely what it is, the resources that we have, including our makerspace and including other online platforms that you can use in order to create your physical product prototype. So this is something that we do like in class where you just draw your physical product on the whiteboard or on a sheet of paper. And then the assignment this week is going to be, the first one is in Tinkercad. So if you did like have a hand-drawn version of what it is that you wanted to create, Tinkercad is a platform where we have a whole assignment on it that you're going to be doing, but it's a platform where you could actually take like what you drew and now create something that can be 3D printed using Tinkercad. Okay. Using AI platforms, you might even be able to actually go to, I actually haven't tried it yet, but you might go to like a ChatGPT or a Claude and have it create an STL file. Now that I think about it, I think I did do that before, and it will actually create an STL file. An STL file is a file that you can send to a 3D printer that it will then print. And of course, we have plenty of 3D printers here in our Makerspace. There's a link to the Makerspace training in the module this week in Canvas. So we're going to not necessarily do Canva. You can use LandingSite.ai to create your website. If you want to use Canva, you are more than welcome to. Sometimes people who are very proficient with Canva feel like they're able to be more creative because they're more comfortable with that platform. And if that's you, go for it. Otherwise, you can use something that's a little bit quicker, like a LandingSite.ai, which would be fine. This is what you're going to be building in that first assignment. This is that walkthrough video, but the link to that is also available in the assignment description. This is going to be the physical product MVP and test number 1, but you kind of ignore this on the slideshow. More about what we have in the assignment description there. That's like the kind of the last say is the assignment description that you can find in Canvas. All right, additional resources, webinar, design thinking. This is actually that video on the Ford Maverick truck. You can find it in the additional resources as well. A couple of other design thinking things for like with Canva. But now let me go through some of these resources and then I'll let you go. So the resources here this week. So we got, this is assignment number 12, Cube and CAD, assignment number 13, physical product MVP, and test number 1. The resources include the Makerspace training, Tinkercad, Thingiverse, CraftCloud, Alibaba, packaging website, and you can see these week's 8 slides. That's the slideshow I just went through, and then the video of the Ford Maverick truck. So the Makerspace training, again, we have 3D printers. We have, in this course, we always, in person, will go up there for one day. But since we don't have that, since we're not in person, if you're in Fort Myers, come and use the space up there. That would be a good place to develop your physical product. You're actually going to want to actually have a physical product ready to go. Okay, Makerspace training. Tinkercad is the platform that you're going to do the Cube and CAD. This is again where you can make like a custom STL file, a custom design that you can then 3D print. Thingiverse is a really cool thing where if I go to Thingiverse and let's say, so like this is actually, they're making a mount adapter for a camera and you can actually just download it. So these are pre-made STL files that you can just like download. So people will do bottle opener sometimes. And so you can actually download these bottle openers so you don't have to actually like reinvent the wheel. You can do a phone case, kind of like many things you can think of. Phone stand is actually kind of cool. I kind of want to put that like in my office. That'd be kind of cool. This one you can see, but like anything you can think of, go ahead and go and throw in here and see what you can find. There are other sites like it. Thingiverse is just probably amongst the most popular. CraftCloud is a site where we don't really need to use CraftCloud because we have it here. We have 3D printers here, but CraftCloud is a platform where you can send STL files to this company that will actually do all the printing and then mail it to you, which is pretty cool. Alibaba is a place where you can source all sorts of different things from China. So for example, let's say that I was going to do snorkels, okay? And then what I can actually do is in many cases I can get these snorkels and they're white labeled, meaning there's no brand on them, and then I can slap my brand on them. So see, like this is $2.70 a pop. I order 300 pieces for 270 cents a pop, and when I get them, I can take them to a place like our Makerspace. In some cases, you actually can do it right here, but I can take it to, customization. Yeah, it looks like there's some minor customization. I'm looking to see if we can actually like have them print the logo onto it, and it looks like maybe not, but that might be something that you do next, which is the simple part, actually printing the logo onto it, and we actually have the tools here to be able to do that. So you might, if that's something you're into, if you're into like source, like for example, it could not have to be snorkels, right? It can be like anything. But like snorkels is the example I use because we're Southwest Florida, and if you might maybe know like networks of different swim shops, you might be like being able to sell your snorkels or whatever, your goggles. Doesn't have to just be like ocean stuff either. It can be phone stuff, drink holders, home goods, all types of different things, right? And you can come in here and see what those might have for you. Okay. Packaging website. This is where, if you think about it, again, I use that term CPG, consumer packaged good. So in many cases, what you got to work into your cost is going to be actually like packaging and shipping. And this is like an example of a site where you can actually go and you can find different kinds of packaging and promotional material. It looks like marketing material, but pretty good. Okay, so that is essentially what we have this week, week 8. These 2 assignments and all of these resources. You really want to have your physical product together for physical product MVP and test number 1. But certainly by the feasibility report, which will be next week, we have to have it like ready. Okay, it's got to be ready for sure. So reach out if you have any questions whatsoever. I am here and happy to help. And wings up, go Eagles. Have a good week. All right, bye.